What's happening, guys? Welcome back to episode 14, picking up from the Nexus. So with last episode, we got you guys access to Yuri the Witch. So now that she's back here at the Nexus, if you guys want to talk to her, and she's pretty much just kind of straight across from your other mages right here in the corner, by the way. But you're able to turn in boss souls to her for additional spells. So when we took out the Dragon Demon, I told you get an AoE for magic, you would get an AoE for a miracle. So we picked up the miracle variant. So if you guys did hold on to that, this is going to get you the best magic spell in the game. If not, don't worry about it. You have 2 more playthroughs for your platinum regardless, because you cannot get all spells. In fact, even if you stuck just to magic, Hard Demon Soul gets you Ignite, and it also gets you another spell you'd have to choose from. So you have at least 2 playthroughs to get all the magic, and then you'd need a third for the miracles, right? To get the rest of your trophies. Now, I did mention holding on to this one, but I did forget about the Hard Demon Soul. So once again, please forgive me for this. However, you were able to get 1 spell. We were able to get the Lava Bow, and I was trying to stress getting the Lava Bow for most players so you didn't pop that soul. I completely forgot that this was, much later in my notes for this episode, although I did, remember to mention the big one. So hopefully you guys picked up what you need. But if you did miss out on Ignite, it is really nice, but you still have, Soul Arrow and bigger things as far as projectiles that will carry you over just fine. But either way, last episode, additionally, aside from that, last episode we talked about upgrades and how most physical builds should have maxed out weapons, magic builds should be pretty close, and faith builds still a little bit behind. So we've already shown you guys the farm to get infinite faint stone by buying it from the filthy merchant woman in 5.2. We showed you the quick path there and went over soul farms because it is about 10,000. I told you, go ahead and stock up on them. We found 6, I bought 6, and that, is going to hold us at least for a few upgrades. However, we don't have chunks, and everybody else, I don't care what weapon you're doing, everybody at least has chunks to this point. So like I said, the recommended build, we're a little bit behind here, so we're going to go ahead and try to change that. Now what we're doing is very complicated, and despite what build you're doing, even if you are not doing the recommended build, we still have to do this at some point. So if you don't feel like doing this yet, don't worry about it. But I want to make sure that everybody's damage is on par instead of having... Because if you notice, we went through all of our zones pretty evenly for the walkthrough, and that's mainly because all of your upgrade mats are separated, and I wanted to make sure that we're fair to every build. So everybody's been able to really bring their weapon up together, pretty evenly, instead of focusing on, hey, let's do this, this, and this for the recommended build, and, fuck everybody else over, right? But with that, the recommended build actually started to fall behind, so here we are. Either way, as you get on down into the swamp, if you go on over to the far left, there's going to be a red phantom. Now, she is wielding the butcher knife. 1 hit, you're dead. However, we can kind of stun lock her with the dragon longsword. So that's what we have on. Everyone here is weak to fire. So what we're going to do, and this is risky because we can't roll here, so we're kind of sitting ducks. And that's why this is so complicated. In fact, you'll see my souls there when I originally started the episode. However, we can kind of wear her down a bit before she gets to us, and then we can kind of just stun lock her with our fire weapon, and hopefully finish her off as long as she doesn't roll away. Damn you, bitch. Where are you going? Stop walking. Fuck. Thank you. Lock on. Just like that. So, like I said, it can be very hard because you can't roll. And for everyone's like, damn, this area's gonna fucking suck. It is, but we're gonna get an item called the Sodden Ring. So the Sodden Ring, what this does is it's actually gonna allow us to roll in deep water. So this swamp is not gonna feel like this when we go through. Plus we have, health regeneration, so that poison won't be ticking on our health so bad. As far as, we could use a regeneration spell, we could use the Adjudicator Shield, we could use a Blessed Weapon, and all of this will actually allow us to go ahead and move that swamp without taking a bunch of damage to our health over time, because we'll be offsetting that. And then aside from that, we're also going to have a ring that lets us roll around. That's why we have to do things, like I said, in a very specific way, or we are going to have a very hard time, right? So if we go to that area too soon, it's going to be much more complicated than it needs to be. If we do World 3 first and do the tendency events, we get the solid ring. So, that's the way we try to do things. Make it easy as we can be. Game's very difficult, guys. So what are we missing? 1 chunk, 5 shards. So we'll have to be stuck at +3 until we go back to that zone, but that's fine. At least we're +3, At the very least, we want to be +3. I think that will hold us over quite well. is after this episode, we're going to do World 3 in completion. Then we'll probably jump to 5, close all that up, then end with World 4 before pushing towards the end game. So now that we have that, guys, we should be okay to actually use this and have our damage hold up a bit better, because that has kept our scaling at B, sure, but it's brought the base amount of damage up quite a bit. So we're doing, let's say, 146 and 150, 250. You know, we got another 30 hits and damage. That, you know, stuff's going to add up. Do we use all of our souls? Yes, we have, so we are good to go. So jumping back on over to the inner ward. Last episode, we had to do a bunch of optional content once we got our first shortcut and cleared most of the area. So we were not able to have the time to finish up the zone. That's why I said it's going to be a perfect episode to go ahead and throw that in and get some upgrades for us. So as we go back through, all the enemies are going to be alive again, but the good news is that with our shortcut, we don't have to run through all that stuff again, you know? All we do is we go straight through our shortcut and push towards the end. Plenty of enemies along the way, not to worry, but we don't have to do the whole zone again, thank God. Very, very tight jump, you know, very, very, very tight jump. I might switch up my shield too, maybe get something with parry, maybe go to the night shield. Yep, all crystal lizards respawn. It's alright, just basic upgrades, we already got them once. You still walk around looking for trouble, so we have to save his ass. Isn't that great? Alright guys, so now that we got through our shortcut, we have freed Yuri the Witch. We have met your other NPC that is going to be summoned for the boss for your hidden achievement. We're ready to go. And that was the thing with last episode. Like I said, there's two NPCs. One, the guy with the heavy armor. I guess I should have written down his name. I always forget his name. But as soon as you free him, he can be summoned in for the boss. That right there gets you a hidden achievement. And it gets you help for the boss, which is nice. This boss might give some people trouble, but once you've got him to join you, it's just not bad at all. You know, it's not bad at all. Definitely the path to the boss is much worse than the boss itself. Speaking of which, that's what we're going to be doing now. So we're really just working our way to the boss, guys. There's going to be a few red-eye knights. A few assholes. Good, thank you. Oh. Thank you. Yeah, they're very obnoxious. The spearmen, they can be pretty obnoxious to get to at times. Alright, so now this is gonna be the tricky part. Let's see if we can dwindle their numbers a bit. Because we're also gonna have quite a few red-eye knights. You can see them up there. You got one fat official, 3 red-eye knights, and then you have, the scourge of guys here. If we move too far up, what's going to happen is you're going to aggro, the heavy hitters in this area. So hopefully we can just kind of pick these guys off the back here. So I told you last episode, having some ranged abilities here is going to be very helpful. Really just for this part, and then when we ran into your first red-eye last episode, as you had to try to fight him. Wow. You had like 3 fucking archers on you. So for those 2 instances alone, having some ammo here is going to go a long fucking way. And like I said, that's why you got to follow along, because since we didn't finish last episode, we're kind of just jumping in the middle of the zone we started. So a lot of people will remember the recommended loadout, and some might, might not. So tell you guys, follow along. We did go over the proper loadout last episode. Come on, fellas. Obviously, this can be a little bit tricky for player cards, right? So our damage is looking so much better, man. Because you gotta remember, it's not gonna be as high as other weapons because it's quick. But still, we're putting these guys down fairly easy. Ooh, there you go. I hate how they just tank through whatever they want. Like, Like, I'm not sitting here smacking him right in the fucking face. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sitting here smacking him right in the fucking face. Alright. I told you, it's a little rough. Honestly, most people, they just run past this and get to the boss. That's what they do, you know. I don't blame them either. Look at it. We'll get it. We'll get it. It's most definitely frustrating. It's one of those instances where, like I said, the run to the boss is much harder than the boss itself. No matter how hard the boss is, because this run is fucking garbage. Anytime you're fighting an enemy with the spear, it's rough. But that enemy being a red eye doesn't make life any fucking better, you know, at all. Are you still alive? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, Estrava, we get it. You're on patrol. Alright, getting on back. Fortunately, we gotta kill these guys every single time. So, it's one of those things where you really want to try to get this first time, guys. You really want to. You know, be careful, pick them off from a distance if possible, lure them to you one by one, whatever, you know, whatever it takes, because otherwise you have to go through this every time. And even if you're like running past the red eyes, you're probably still gonna have to fight these guys every time. Or you're just gonna get boxed in and, you know, you are gonna get yourself killed, so. Now we're out of arrows, so we gotta do this old school. Which means a lot of moving around. If you just, even if you're staying aggressive, you have archers, right? So you don't want to sit in one spot too long. Thank you. So I said, if you want, you can just run past the red eyes. That's probably what I would recommend doing. There's fucking 3 of them, right? So if we can pull them one by one. You see what I'm saying? We're hitting him, and what happens? He just keeps coming. While we're smacking him right in the fucking face, doesn't matter. Yeah. So if they come like this, this is what we want. It's not easy. They're all 3 spearmen. I do have on the thief ring still. We haven't really took it off. It's been clean ring, thief ring whole playthrough. For the most part. Obviously for good reason. Get our heal on. Alright. And that's it. Block and swipe. But like I said, anytime it's the guy with the spear, just because you block that first hit don't mean you can sit here and finish him off. You gotta like hit him once or twice, back to shield up. Look at that. He's immediately getting right. It doesn't matter that you're hitting him. You know, hitting him doesn't mean shit. It's not stopping anything. You know what I mean? It might stop one hit, but he's gonna get right back on track to start annihilating you. Either way. Now that we have all that wrapped up, we are good to move to the penetrator. So probably the coolest boss introduction you've ever seen in a game. Like, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's super cool. We're going to let it play out. So this guy's got to buff up his sword with cursed blade, essentially. So really cool, but it does boost his damage by 50%. Now, if you've done all the content and followed along, we're going to have help in this fight. Now, our guy's going to come in here, and he's just going to tie this guy down, and we're just going to beat on him from the back. It's that simple. Other than that, you know, if you get locked in combat, just block, roll through it. It's not difficult. It's actually like a boss fight, though, which is cool. Because there's not many fights that are just a straight-up boss, you know? A lot of them are so gimmick fight, gimmick fight, gimmick fight. It's like a real boss fight, so I appreciate that. What a fucking way to come in. This guy's been antagonizing you since like episode 1, leading you further into World 1, leading you further, leading you further. And then you finally get to the showdown and you get slaughtered by a true badass. That armor set's really dope. You can get it, but it takes like 4 playthroughs of doing crazy weird shit. Finding like super hidden items in the game, plays the game in crazy ways. Like something called fractured mode, where it puts everything backwards. We'll cover that later on. Oh, he actually doesn't get iframes during that. That's wild. Typically the enemy always would. Kind of stay back, let him time down again. If you do get hit, he'll do it. No crazy one-shot damage. Not with this. If you get hit too much, you know what's going to happen. Okay. Super simple fight, guys. Super simple. Super simple. So once you have him taken down, you should have got the trophy for the boss, and then you're going to get the hidden trophy, hidden achievement for bringing him with you.
Fine work back there. Then again, you go on it.
He's got a pretty cool set we've already picked up. Alright, so we're going to talk to him till he sleeps. Move forward, get your Arc Stone. Silver Demon Soul. Nexus. So we're not going to push forward with World 1 any farther until everything else is done, as that's going to push you to the end of the game. So with that being said, have we picked up any souls? Legendary, we're not using silver.
Then touch the deep soul of the mind, key to life.
Look at that. So like I said, my plan is to recommend to build 24 for 3 spell slots, 3 miracle slots, and all the weapon requirements. I think the highest for Faith are 24, no matter what Faith weapon you find, because as we get the late game, we're going to get the really good ones. So that's good for now, but getting this to 30, this to 20, and then getting this to 30 is where we want to be. We might just get 15 here in intelligence, and then get that to 30, and then jump back in. 20 in endurance will hold us, but you're going to have to make a choice. Do you want heavier armor or want more damage? Do you want heavier armor, or do you want enough mana to cast the best spells in the game? So there are choices to make. While we are going to get more levels going through the game, obviously, it's not, to really stress this, it's not like your other games, guys. We're mostly there at our levels. We're going to get more, but I don't think we get more than 20 more levels, 25 more levels. And that's doing all world tendency events. That's doing everything. So something to keep in mind. Either way, guys, we have entered soul form. We're gonna go on back, get our souls, and then wrap on up. However, before we do, roll on down.
Are you sure?
If you go over here, you're going to notice with the silver demon soul you just picked up, get you cursed weapon. So this is what I was telling you guys earlier. If you're doing like a strength build, dex quality, pick this up. I know it's a spell. Trust me on this. You're going to have about 18 levels into intelligence. I would just bring it up to like 20. But with cursed weapon, it's a buff to your weapon. And this is what I was telling you guys earlier. Any build, any physical build, can use spells. You're not going to get scaling. So as far as like fireball and ignite, we don't want that. But
Hello again. I'm keeping
you can simply go over here, and you could use what we have now. You could use the Talisman of God and only cast miracles. However, if you use the Talisman of the Beast, that'll let you cast spells, that'll let you cast miracles. So you can get like regeneration and all the self buffs for healing and status effects cleansing. But you can also get the weapon buffs, and that's still going to work the same. So if I was doing this, what I would do is like a strength build, is I'd go over here and pick up stuff like protection, cloak, familiar's prank, enchant weapon. These are all just buffs, or just general use spells, right? So those are going to be really good that anyone could use. There's no scaling because there's no damage, right? Then over here with him, he's pretty much got the same thing. We should have light weapon too. But yeah, you can still use like poison cloud because that's not really about damage scaling. That's going to poison the enemy when they do damage over time. Light weapon, you could use that as well. That's the one we just got now. But the thing about light weapon is you have to choose between cursed or light. So you'd go cursed for sure. It's better. It's more for like a magic build that's doing melee abilities. But yeah, you could use all that stuff. Poison cloud, cursed weapon, I mean, you have quite a bit going on, with that. But cursed weapon takes the cake for physical builds. Light weapon's going to be better for magic builds. They're just trying to buff up their weapon. But you got to remember, if you have a sword with magic damage already, you can't buff it anymore, guys. You can't buff it anymore. So there's 3 slots. Yeah, because I wanted to show off that we don't have the mana. That's another one, 100 mana just to cast it. And that's why you get your mana up as a physical build. For anyone who doesn't realize, you have to have enough mana to cast it. But since it's not doing damage scaling, it's nothing to really worry about. As far as the spells we have on now, Regeneration, Evacuate, and Cure, I'd say that's good until we get our intelligence higher to get more mana to cast.
It's better than having.
I'm going to go and unequip our spell because we don't need it. Yeah, now as you get later, you start to realize why you have so many playthroughs. It's just, you can't get it all, you have to space this out. Either way, guys, with that, we are going to wrap up here. Next episode, we'll be working our way on through World 3, pretty much to the end, and then the following episode will be your Archdemon and your World Tendency events, right? Just like we do with World 2. Then we're going to do the same thing with World 5, and then World 4, and then, pretty much just close out all the worlds and push towards our ending. Then, obviously, character tendency events and everything we need to do to button up the playthrough. So, y'all stay tuned. We'll catch you back here shortly.